Today, despite a last-ditch effort to have his conviction overturned.
Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made.
Plus, as the government shutdown goes into its third day, the Trump administration has signaled thousands of government layoffs could start soon. And we're getting a look at police body camera video showing the moment officers arrived to the scene of a mass shooting at a Michigan church. We'll show you what happens next. Thanks for joining us tonight on WTOL 11 Plus. I'm Kaylee Marantet. The future of the Northwest Ohio rib-off is now in question. One mayor tells us its current owners, the Toledo Blade, are looking to sell, but it won't be to his city because city council shot it down, which means the rib-off might be cooked. Michael Sandlin has the story.
For decades, the Northwest Ohio rib-off has offered fall-off-the-bone meals and family-friendly fun. The longtime participants, like Trevor Dieter, owner of Dietz Barbecue, he says as the years went on, the festival was starting to fall off the bone too.
The cost of doing said business has gone up significantly. To put on something like that is no small feat, and locally, the cost to attend something like that is very difficult for the average household.
Well, the exact reasons for the Blade's potential sale of the brand are unknown. Declining to speak to WTOL 11 about the details, according to Rossford's mayor, Neil McKinnon, the deal looks like so. For $130,000, the Blade is looking to sell the name, the infrastructure, and invest $160,000 worth of advertising for whichever city buys it. And Mayor McKinnon believed he had quite the opportunity on his hands.
We're really trying to redevelop our downtown, and we've started to do that, and I thought for us to host a big, iconic signature event that's been in Northwest Ohio for a very long time, for us to host it in our downtown would bring the foot traffic and the visitors.
But when he took the idea to Rossford City Council, they had some reservations.
I don't know that the prestige is with the connection anymore. I think that the festival has suffered, and I think we could do it the same or better on our own, starting from the ground up.
And the vote didn't go McKinnon's way.
Tinney?
No.
Eckel?
No.
So right now it's up in the air.
And for pitmasters like Dieter, it potentially marks the end of an era.
If there is no event that takes place in any regional area around here, that would be a blow to the area because it is a big revenue generator.
Michael Sandlin is joining us in studio tonight. Michael, Rossford has turned this offer down. Have any other cities gotten an offer?
Well, Kaylee, I've reached out to a lot of people to try to get that answer, and so far it seems like no. So first, with it being held at the Lucas County Fairgrounds, I reached out to Lucas County, speaking to their PIO. They tell me they've not received an offer. Toledo, same thing, didn't receive an offer. Perrysburg, Maumee, none of them have received an offer, and not only that, they didn't even realize it was up for sale. And some of those PIOs that I spoke to were former Blade employees. So it seems like this was exclusively for Rossford at this moment. And it's something that kind of surprised me, and it surprised them as well.
So do we know how much revenue the rib-off actually brings in?
So that's something I asked Mayor Neil McKinnon, and he said that according to the Blade, over the last 7 years, the Blade was let's see here. He said they were $500,000 in the black, so $500,000 from 7 years of rib-offs.
So $500,000 through those 7 years?
Yes, through those 7 years. That's not per year.
Okay. So it seems like you went to a lot of people for asking, why is something changing? It's been a staple in the area for a year, something that thousands of people go to. It seems like you couldn't find an answer from everyone that you spoke with.
Yeah, I mean, I hit a lot of roadblocks, and I think that goes back to the Blade. They were the first people we called. We said, hey, we understand this is for sale. And the person I spoke with said, hey, let me kick this up to my boss. And then they called me back and said, we're going to respectfully not going to comment on this. So at the end of the day, they didn't want to provide any answers. We can only dig up so much, but if someone's selling something, they don't want to reveal why they're selling it, it's the guesswork of the people trying to buy, and it's the guesswork of the people that's participated. But I don't want to speculate. That's something I'm going to leave up to other people. So at the end of the day, it's the Blade's choice, and I just hope somebody buys it because I know a lot of people love the rib-off, and it's been a tradition in this area for decades. So I think to see it die would be really sad.
All right. Michael Sandlin joining us in studio tonight. Thanks, Michael. Other stories making headlines across the country. A federal judge sentenced Sean Diddy Combs to 4 years and 2 months in prison. In July, a jury found him guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution linked to 2 ex-girlfriends. Combs called his behavior disgusting, shameful, and sick right before he was sentenced. Combs has already spent 13 months in jail. The judge is also requiring him to pay a $500,000 fine along with 5 years of supervised release. Combs was acquitted on the 2 more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. Police in Michigan have released body camera footage from the deadly shooting at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township. The video shows officers running to the scene as you can hear gunshots. They yell for the shooter to drop his weapon. After he doesn't, police open fire and kill him. Officials in Grand Blanc Township say the officers are on leave while the investigation continues. Police say the gunman, 40-year-old Thomas Sanford, is a Marine veteran. Authorities say Sanford smashed his pickup truck into the chapel and started shooting before lighting the church on fire. 4 people were killed and 8 others were injured. The federal government remains shut down as deadlocked Congress still hasn't reached a funding deal. The Trump administration has signaled thousands of government layoffs could start soon, and officials say the White House has already compiled a list of agencies to target for cuts. Republicans are still pushing for essentially an extension of current funding levels, and Democrats continue to focus on health care, calling to extend enhanced Obamacare subsidies set to expire at the end of the year. We would typically be talking about the jobs report on this first Friday of the month, but the federal government shutdown is delaying those numbers. The Bureau of Labor Statistics did not release a September jobs report today, leaving a gap in the economic picture. A prolonged government shutdown could deprive the Fed of more key economic data in October, like the Consumer Price Index and retail spending reports. The next Fed meeting wraps up on October 29th. If the shutdown persists, the central bank could decide it doesn't have enough information, or it could postpone the October meeting altogether. The question remains, what happened to Amelia Earhart? It's one of aviation's greatest mysteries. Now new efforts are underway to find her plane. We'll introduce you to those who are on a mission to find it. Plus, it's what everyone is talking about online. Taylor Swift has dropped a new album, and tonight we're breaking down parts of her song list and the meaning behind them.
Oh, we're still in our summer era weather-wise. Going to bring some October heat into the weekend with those temperatures in the mid-80s expected. I got your full 10-day weather forecast coming up next.
WTOL 11 is very active on TikTok, and we have to show you one video by our Chris Vickers.
Let this sink in. This November will be 50 years since we lost the Edmund Fitzgerald on Lake Superior. It was November 10th, 1975, and the Edmund Fitzgerald, loaded with 26,000 tons of iron ore, was set for Detroit. It encountered the gales of November, and all 29 crew members plunged into the icy waters of Lake Superior. This remains the largest and greatest shipwreck ever on Great Lakes history. Now, the weather records for that night, I've gone ahead and recreated that storm. And you may be surprised to know this, that most of the weather records live right here in Northwest Ohio at the BGSU Jerome Library. I actually went into the archives. I analyzed the ship's logs from that night, indicating the winds, the waves, and the fierce conditions that they faced through the course of the evening, ultimately leading up to the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald on November 10th, 1975, just after 7:10 p.m. The famous last words from Captain McSorley, right there: "We're holding our own."
Make sure you're following WTOL 11 on all of your favorite social media platforms to stay up to date. A TV legend is honored at his college alma mater. A historical marker commemorating Twilight Zone creator Rod Serling was unveiled at the Antioch College in Yellow Springs, Ohio. Serling graduated from Antioch in 1950. His best-known work is in the original run of the television show The Twilight Zone, which ran for 5 seasons from 1959 through 1964. A new era begins today. Taylor Swift released another album, The Life of a Showgirl. The Fate of Ophelia kicks off the album in reference to Shakespeare's Hamlet. The song appears to be a love letter about her now fiance, Travis Kelce. Breakups have been inspired by many of Swift's past albums. The pop artist told BBC Radio 1 she wasn't sure an album written while she's in love would come so easily.
I used to kind of have this dark fear that if I ever were truly like happy and free being myself and nurtured by a relationship, what happens if the writing just dries up?
Well, Swift says her own personal favorite is Wish List, where she embraces her desire to settle down and have kids with the NFL star. In the title track, The Life of a Showgirl, featuring fellow singer Sabrina Carpenter, Swift wraps up the album with a tribute to when the duo closed out the Eras Tour show.
I know a lot of people stayed up till midnight last night to either wait in line to get a physical copy or hear it on streaming. I was not one of them. I have heard a few of the songs, Kaylee. I know The Fate of Ophelia was on the radio this afternoon. It's got a nice vibe to it. What about you?
I have not listened to any of them,
no.
But I know a lot of my friends have been reposting it on social media. I know Woods has been one of the top.
Yeah, I know our Amanda Faye really likes that song. You can't scroll through social media without hearing about it, but
no,
she's definitely happy and definitely in her engagement era.
Her engagement era, yeah.
First of that.
Weather-wise, summer. We're
still in summer mode. October, though, really not feeling like it at all. So, Kayla, let's jump into that forecast that's going to feature 80s for your weekend highs, and not just 80s, but mid-80s and near record levels that'll be possible. We are going to be staying mostly sunny and dry for those weekend plans as well. Temperatures over the course of your Friday evening generally are cooling off a little bit near the lake shore. South and west, though, that's a sign of some of those summer-like conditions that are expected. Defiance and Putnam counties climbed up to about 86 or 87 degrees today. Now, in case you missed it yesterday, the latest drought monitor shows historic extreme drought conditions that have been developing and expanding. Red shows you extreme drought on this weather map from Findlay up towards North Baltimore, extending into Putnam and Henry counties, and then over towards Paulding, Van Wert, and Defiance counties as well. That is where the rainfall deficit is becoming historic, generally right along and south of the path of the Maumee River. That extreme drought has continued to grow. Most of the viewing area, including the Toledo Metro, is considered to be under a severe drought, and that encompasses much of southern Lucas County and essentially all of Wood County. So Toledo proper is under that severe drought, and many of those area farm fields have been affected by just how sparse the rain has been. We do have high pressure off towards the East Coast, and that's going to keep sunshine in the mix through the weekend. There have been a few clouds west of town, but otherwise sunny skies and dry weather expected into the weekend. There were a couple isolated showers popping up in central Illinois Illinois and central Indiana. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to capitalize on any of that moisture for rainfall. Mid-80s both weekend days, mostly sunny, dry, and mild. The record for tomorrow is actually 92, and that is tied for the warmest ever October day recorded in Toledo. We're going to be near record levels on Sunday. That record of 88 set back on October 5th, 2007. That one's going to be a little more approachable. Temperatures tomorrow morning going to be in the 50s, as you may expect for October. However, the afternoon having that taste of summer in the air, mid-80s possible, and a few locations south and west of town could even climb into the upper 80s. A very warm start to the weekend. So when do we see a change in the weather? That's not likely to come until Tuesday and into Wednesday. Let's start things off Monday. Dry weather conditions ahead of our next front. That cold front is going to bring on some rain showers. It's not going to be a drought buster by any stretch. However, a quarter to half an inch of rainfall is expected with this system. And then behind that front Wednesday, a chilly autumn setting as temperatures drop from the mid 80s down to the mid 60s with a much cooler, drier breeze expected through the middle of the week. Rain chances, we have bumped up that chance on Tuesday to a 60% chance of showers. Otherwise, the forecast looking largely dry. So weather impacts that we're expecting, feeling like summer this weekend. Showers returning into Tuesday, and then a cooler fall feel is on tap for midweek, with temperatures becoming a little bit more characteristic of October. That rain chance, 60% showers Tuesday, and look at those temperatures dropping back into the 60s. Overnight lows, those smaller numbers, could even creep down to the upper 30s. So we are monitoring the potential for some areas of patchy frost Thursday and Friday mornings, although we do rebound to the 70s by the end of the 10-day forecast. Lots of that autumn sunshine ahead and largely dry weather. Kaylee.
Well, on July 2nd, 1937, Amelia Earhart and navigator Fred Noonan disappeared over the Pacific Ocean while attempting to make the first around-the-world flight along the equator. On the 88th anniversary of her mysterious disappearance, Purdue Research Foundation and Archaeological Legacy Institute announced a joint effort to locate Earhart's lost aircraft. Ella Rhodes has the story.
3 people from Purdue will take off from the Amelia Earhart terminal and join a team of 15 people at the end of the month to find out if the object in this satellite image is Amelia Earhart's long-lost plane. Richard Pettigrew, the executive director of the Archaeological Legacy Institute, says he's highly confident this is the missing piece to the puzzle.
It's a very complex project, so we have only 5 days to work on the island, so we have to really work diligently, get everything done.
ALI and Purdue teamed up in July to start the official search. The team is made up of archaeologists, astronauts, people who've been on the island of Nikumaroro, representatives from Kiribati, the country the island belongs to, and a medic. The trip to the remote island takes 6 days. The team will sail 1,200 miles from the Marshall Islands to Nikumaroro.
We're going to be on our own. We're not going to be able to go to the hardware store and get some spare parts.
Sarisha Bandla, a Purdue alum and astronaut, will join Pettigrew on the mission to hopefully bring a piece of her hero's legacy home.
Her legacy is much more than this final journey. She's done so much in her career for aviation and for women in STEM and aerospace.
If the object is Earhart's plane, who does it belong to? Purdue's Senior Vice President and General Counsel Steve Schultz and Pettigrew say they'll work with Kiribati. Ultimately, they hope Earhart's wishes are honored to return what is left of the plane to West Lafayette. Purdue Research Foundation paid for her plane too.
My line is that we have an equitable claim to the remains of the Electra because of her intent to bring it back to Purdue as expressed at the time.
Going the distance for the woman who soared across the world.
Still to come, changes are coming for school funding. The Ohio Senate made a move to get rid of 2 levy options for schools, what this means for the upcoming election and for classrooms. And an act of kindness, one woman is going above and beyond to offer free haircuts for those in need. Welcome back in. Here's a look at some of the local stories we are following for you tonight. A South Toledo man has been charged with criminal child enticement and unlawful restraint. According to court records, 25-year-old Quincy Young allegedly held a 12-year-old against their will at his apartment for 2 weeks. The documents say he gave the minor a phone, marijuana, and food. Young is also accused of physically restraining and assaulting the 12-year-old when they tried to leave. Young pleaded not guilty. He was released on an OR bond in order to have no contact with the victim. Young is due back in court next week. The city of Toledo is poised to pay a man $35,000 to settle a federal lawsuit. Brandon Upchurch sued the city and the police department after he says a TPD canine was used to take him into custody for a crime he was never involved in. Toledo City Council will discuss the proposed settlement at its meeting next Tuesday. Lawmakers are hoping to give Ohioans some tax relief. This now means school districts and local entities can no longer put emergency or replacement levies on the ballot. Replacement levies extend an expiring levy, but changes payments based on current property values. And an emergency levy generates a fixed level of annual funding regardless of changing in property values. State Representative Josh Williams says these levies were being used to trick voters into paying more in property taxes. Others, like the treasurer for Perrysburg Schools, disagrees. He says this change will end up costing taxpayers more money and make it harder for districts to pass levies.
We are limited by the language in the statutes, and we follow those rules, and districts have done a good job over the years of following those rules and trying to communicate as clearly as possible. I think if the legislature would be honest with themselves, they've done everything they can to make it harder for districts to communicate.
He says he agrees there is an issue with how things like schools are funded, being so reliant on property taxes, but he says this does not actually solve the issue. Well, students at Perrysburg Schools are being encouraged to register to vote. The Board of Elections and a League of Women Voters spent time at the high school today. It's the second annual voter registration kickoff event. Representatives say they saw 100 students register last year and hoped for even more this year.
I think it's been really successful. I think everybody wants people to participate in the democratic process, and I think that parents are excited that their students are getting involved and they're not just watching from the sideline. And I think it's a great partnership between the community and community organizations and our students to do this kind of thing.
This was a nonpartisan educational effort, and no campaigning or advocacy was allowed. Michigan families are still waiting to find out if school meals will stay free this year. Governor Gretchen Whitmer says a plan is in the works as part of the new proposed state budget that would feed kids at school. But until it's finalized, parents don't know if they'll need to start paying again for breakfast and lunch. All public school students got free meals last year through the Michigan School Meals Program, with the state and federal government covering the cost. For now, a temporary budget extension is buying the state a little more time. One woman is collaborating with the Cherry Street Mission to provide free haircuts to people at the shelter. The Look Good, Feel Good event began simply with a conversation between a volunteer and one of Cherry Street's staff members. She was sharing her vision and the idea of wanting to bring this resource to people who might need it.
I think it's really cool that I get to do what I do and actually help people doing what I do. When I was younger, my grandpa used to take us to Cherry Street Mission to serve food. So this is like full circle moment for me.
And with this is giving them the ability to bring back some dignity to them, helping them to look good on the outside as well as building them up on the inside.
The event is set for next Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1:30 at Cherry Street Mission. If you want to volunteer to help, we have a link on links mentioned of WTOL.com. Well, since you're already here, why not check out some of the other exclusive content we have on WTOL 11+. Here's a look at this week's new episode of The Leaderboard.
Pivoting to our leaderboard poll of the week. Last week we asked you, what is your game day outfit? Your options were head to toe in team gear, just the team jersey, casual but team colors, or just whatever you're wearing that day. Well, the results are in with casual but team colors winning the vote with more than 33%. And second, just behind, was sporting a team jersey. Third was whatever I'm wearing today, with head to toe in team gear coming in last place. So let's bring back Noelle, our fashionista, so to speak. And Noelle, your thoughts thoughts on both the results and your preference?
Well, I'm surprised head-to-toe gear was second to last. Is that what it was? It came in third?
I might have been last, actually. I think it's, last.
Oh, it's
that
last.
One came in last.
I'm surprised. I thought there would be more people, more passionate. I guess it doesn't define your passion for each team. I am with the majority casual, but team colors. I like to sport a hat with the logo on it too. I guess at the end of the day, it just depends how loud you cheer. That proves your, passion for the team, not necessarily what you're wearing. But what's your go-to?
So I'm kind of the same way. I like the jersey. I have a lot of jerseys at home, so I like to sport the jersey when I can. But I'm more of a team colors, casual type of guy. I can't pull off the whole full body suit of team gear or anything like sporadic or anything like that. But I'm not too surprised at the result personally, because you see those people at games. Obviously, we've been to Detroit, we've been to Cleveland, other big cities for big time games. There's those fans, but there's not a huge number of them.
That's true.
Not many people, because that's why they stick out. We see them because they stick out, because there's not very many doing it. And so obviously, very passionate, very dedicated for those fans. But obviously the overwhelming popularity is to just show up in a jersey or
it's a great point you make, because for me, you're right, it's not the majority, but I feel like it's the majority because they're the ones who are photobombing me in the middle of a live shot. So of course they're the only ones I see, so I figure that they're the ones that are the vast majority. But either way, it's all fun and games.
Exactly.
And,
fandom is what makes sports great, and if whatever you want to do, it's completely okay, because you're a part of what makes sports awesome.
Exactly. Well, for next week's leaderboard poll of the week, we want to know, what do you love most about postseason baseball? Is it watching games all day long, the October atmosphere, bragging rights over rivals, or betting on the games? To vote, simply scan the QR code on your screen right now or head to WTOL.com and head to the sports section. As always, we'll be back here next week to break down the results. We'll be right back.
You can watch the full episode of the leaderboard on WTOL 11 Plus in just a few minutes. Well, Twilight is celebrating 20 years since its book was first released. The novel, which became the first of 4 books in the Twilight saga series, was written by author Stephanie Meyer. The books inspired the film starring Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. In honor of the 20th anniversary, Little Brown Books for Young Readers has released a vintage-inspired collector's edition. The special edition book is now available for $40. Did you read these?
Oh man, that's a throwback. I mean, when I was in high school, all the girls loved Twilight.
Oh yeah.
I was definitely not on the bandwagon, but it's hard to believe that's been 20 years. Where did the time go?
I know. I've never read it, but a lot of my friends had, a Jacob poster or an Edward poster.
You got to be Team Jacob or Team Edward, one or the other.
I never got on that either.
Yeah,
but
and I remember, we were talking about Taylor Swift as well. I remember when she was just up and coming back in the day, when she was, a full-fledged country artist, and now look how far that career's gone as well.
Hard to believe.
Wow. Well, forecast-wise, let's get one last check of the warm weather this weekend. 86 both days. That record for Sunday is 88. Could be in jeopardy from 2007. Staying warm Monday, but finally some rain showers Tuesday. We really do need the rain, although that's not really going to make a difference in the drought, Kaylee.
All right, thanks, John. And thank you for joining us here on WTOL 11 Plus. We'll see you tonight at 11 o'clock for Big Word Friday.